Hey everyone, for those who are following, this is the stroke engines drawing piston sheet 19, and for this one we have this intricate shape. And before we get on and design it, I'd like to do a quick recap of everything we've done so far. We started out with the pins and shafts, a simple extrusion of a circle into a cylinder. Then we made a similar cylinder, but we chamfered the edges. Then we moved on to the connecting rod. This is the old version, this is the new version. Then we moved on to creating for the connecting rod the bushes, which are meant to fit in the connecting rod. And this is the new model, this was the old one. So lastly, we're going to touch on this one, how to make this one. Follow me in this new adventure. So I made a copy of my blueprints, my technical drawings for this specific item. Today I'd like to try something different from using extrude. We might still use extrude for some minor components, but I'd like to try a different command. If you have finished drawing sheet 19, as in the third angle projections, we're good to go. So what we want to ensure before we start, let's type in OSNAP and ensure that we have the three first options selected, especially midpoint. So what we're going to try to do this time around is not rely as heavily on extrude as a command to create cylinders, but instead for making cylinders we're going to try out revolve, which works in a completely different way with a different approach. So here we are, we're going to start making a polyline. You get to the top middle of your front view drawing. Ensure that you have F8 activated for simple 90-degree drawing. And so we're just gonna like draw the outer shape of the model, and you're starting from the halfway point, right? And you finish at the bottom and you draw all the way back up, okay? And then when you're done, you click C for close, and you need to have a closed shape for this to work. So by which I mean that when you deselect and reselect, what you should be left with is a shape that's half of the original shape, and it should consist of one line, not a bundle of lines. So don't use line, use polyline, because then it's one shape. Once you're here, it's beautiful because the next part is going to blow your minds. You select the whole thing, get into a isometric view such as the bottom right, which should be top front right on your view cube. Zoom out a bit, and what we're going to do next is the command revolve. Instead of extruding a cylinder from a circle, we're going to spin this thing around like a lathe or like a pottery wheel. Clarify upon which axis the revolution occurs. So take the inside edge of this half piston, and now you can see this very interesting process, and you can see it looks like a cake slice. And you could manually click where you want to finish, but we're just going to type in 360 because we want a whole revolution. Okay, so we have the overall shape of the piston made using the revolve command. It looks pretty good, but really it's just half of the overall shape spun around the central vertical axis using the front view. And it's lacking all the details that we need, and that shape that we need to make is the pill shape, which is something that is a hole. This pill shaped hole extends 18 millimeter into the model from the underside, and the pill shape consists of a rectangle that is 22 in length, 14 in width, combined with a circle of a radius 11, which is then filleted together with a radius of 4. So we're going to remake this shape to ensure that we have one closed shape. So we're going to start with the circle. Type in circle, click anywhere, and ensure that you are working with the radius. So type in 11 for the radius. Alright, so we have a radius 11 circle. Now we're going to create the rectangle, command rectangle. And for this, we're going to click anywhere for now. And alright, so rectangle works with two dimensions, of course. One is the length, one is the width. As you can see, as I stretch, it extends the number on the top. And we're going to change it to 22. And then to alter the width of the rectangle, we're going to switch dimensions using the tab key. So press your tab key, the one with the two arrows that point towards each other. All right, and here we're going to type in 14, and that gives you the rectangle and the circle, which are both closed shapes. Okay, so next thing you do is draw a line through the midpoint of your rectangle. Again, you need all snaps midpoint feature to be activated. With that, we have a central point for our circle to be placed into. So we're going to move the circle into the center of the rectangle. All right, now you can remove the length in the middle that we just created as a line. Now we're going to trim all the outer edges. So grab your trim tool, trim command, and remove all of this stuff. All we need is the inside, because the inside is the almost finished pill shape. Now we want to round off the edges using the fillet command. We can try to do it now, but we're going to face a problem. Cannot fillet between these two entities. And the reason for that is that there might be a conflict between types of lines. So we have created this shape using circles and rectangles, and AutoCAD gets confused when we use different types of shapes because it then does not know if it's working with polylines or lines. So we are going to grab all of this and then type in explode. Type explode and enter. Now it should work. So let's try again, fillet. Let's specify the radius, and the radius should be 4 as specified here. So we're going to take the first curve and the first edge line, and now you have a rounded edge. Let's do it again. Normally if you specified it once, the radius should be 4. Yep. All right, from now on we know that the radius will remain 4. Again, fillet until you have all 4 sides filleted. One more time. All right, so explode allowed us to create a filleted pill shape from a circle and a rectangle. We are going to now join these shapes. As you can see, the shape is now a unified object. Now we can extrude it. Let's double check the height. It's 18. Select the pill shape. Once you've typed in extrude, you can extrude, and the height is 18. Okay, let's place the pill at the center of the bottom view. Let's try to place it better. Hopefully we can get it to be in the middle. Right. Okay, so thanks to all the object snapping features, we are able to place this correctly. It lies perfectly on top. Now we're going to do some rotation and movements to ensure that we can subtract the underside pill shape from the piston. Now we're going to rotate the piston by 90 degrees so that it's upright. And we're going to rotate 90 degrees along the x-axis, also known as the red axis. So click on the red axis and then type 90. Now it's upright. We're going to move it so that its base is exactly at the base of the bottom view. Right. Let's double check. Okay, so the piston is now resting perfectly atop the bottom view technical drawing, and now we want to double check if on the underside we can see and interact with the extruded pill shape, because that will allow us to perform a subtraction. Alright, so once you have rotated the view cube to the front right bottom view, press escape to deselect the piston, then hover to the inside of your model, and you can see hopefully your extruded pill shape on the inside of your model. So if you want to select, remember you need to be on the inside of any shape in order to highlight it. And it can be a bit confusing sometimes, but you gotta just hover the right way. Okay, we can confirm that we can see the extruded pill shape and the revolved piston outline. Now we're going to subtract from the piston the pill shape. So you type in subtract, you select the piston because it's the overall shape, then you highlight the inner pill shape, press enter again to confirm, and now if everything is correct, the inside should have been removed or subtracted from the piston. And we're going to verify that by ensuring that we are in 3D Basics, and we're going to select the model and put on some shading. We can use hidden, but let's try something a bit fancy to get a better sense of depth. And I think we can all agree that the pill shape extrusion has been removed from the revolved piston. Alright, so once we've subtracted the pill shape extrusion from the piston, we are going to move on to the next step, which would be this pipe thing. And for that, what we're going to do is create a polyline. So you go PL for polyline, you go to the midpoint of this shape. Now the pipe is on the outside 8 in diameter, but as you get inside you'll notice that it gets a little thicker, and that's the circlip groove. So for that we are first going in 1 millimeter, then 0.25 this way, then 1 millimeter again this way, back to 0.25 this way, and then you're going to go to the halfway point of this shape. And that's all we're drawing for now. So you press escape, you don't close the line. We're going to move this out of the way, and we're gonna perform a series of mirroring commands. So the first one we're going to do is across from here to the other side. Then we're going to do it again this way. So grab both versions of the pipe, and then that should create the 4 segments. Now we need to join them. Actually, we don't need to, because we need to actually remove this.
Why is this happening? Why?
Forget what I said earlier. We only need the 2 extremities, not the 2 sides, because we're going to perform the revolution command once again, since we've just learned how to do that. Escape. Now grab every part of that, join, and you're now left with a perfect polyline once again. So now we're going to revolve it by doing rev for revolve, and we're going to grab this line, the straight edge, and now we're going to type in 360. We have a perfect pipe to then insert into the model. Cool, we have a pipe, and that pipe needs to go into the piston. However, as you can notice, the pipe is not long enough to reach the outer sides. Okay, so how do we fix that?
Fix it, fix it, fix it, fix it, fix it, fix it! Fix it, fix it, fix it!
Well, we have the dimensions here, 28, 15, and the length is somewhat irrelevant because this rectangular shape will stick out from the from the piston. So let's make a rectangular shape that is 3-dimensional. Now we could extrude a rectangle to make a 3-dimensional rectangle, but let's try something new. Let's use the box command, BOX, and let's go to the bottom of this straight edge here. Let's ensure that the width is 28. So let's click tab, and right now I am typing in the width. Type tab again. All right, and now extend this way. So right now we're still in the 2-dimensional plane. Okay, click anywhere. And now we're going to drag upward. We know the height is 15, so we type in 15. Next, we grab this, and we're going to make 2 copies, one on either side of the model. And to make this simple, we're going to copy, take the bottom right, click to the bottom left of the original model. Now we're going to escape, do this again, copy, we're going to do the opposite, grab the bottom left and drag to the bottom right, escape, click the middle box, deleted. And now we're going to perform a subtraction. From the piston, we want to remove straight edges, 1 and 2. And now, if you select the model, you'll see that the pipe fits perfectly. Okay, now that we have removed the sides of the piston, that we have subtracted off the facets, we can work towards inserting the pipe. For that, the first thing we want to do is ensure that it aligns correctly with the shape. So we're going to do a 3D rotate, and we want to rotate it along the Z-axis. So let's just get it to a isometric view. Select the model and ensure that you are selecting the view cube corner top front right. Okay, now we're going to rotate it by 90 degrees along the Z-axis. So click gently on the blue circle and then type in 90. Okay, so now it is in the right orientation to be placed. I'm going to create some guidelines. It's easier to get the pipe in if we have a line in the middle. So I'm going to do that again. Close up on the bottom view, draw a straight line across the midpoint of the two straight lines. All right, I can first show you that the pipe is in the middle of the orthogonal plane, as in the XY flat blueprint height. Don't know why my drawing gets all crazy right now. Now I'm going to move it in place, so move, and I'm just going to snap it in position. So grab the very front of this, okay, click, and then drag it to that intersection, the red and blue intersection here. That should do it. Now I'm just going to check on both sides if it looks okay. Let me just rotate a bit. Okay, things are looking good. So now we're going to move the piston in place. All right, yeah, it looks good. Now we're going to move the pipe up. So we're going to do displacement, and we're going to specify 0 on the X, 0 on the Y, and 8 upward. And if everything is correct, it should be good to go. I'm going to test the subtraction and hope that the hole is correctly made. So subtract, type in subtract, select the piston, then select the hole, press enter, enter. Okay, let's see how it looks on the other side. Okay, so we seem to have a little problem. Right, as you can see on the right side, it seems to stick out a bit. So I'm going to make the right side snap correctly. So I'm going to grab this and then see. And now, hopefully, let's see what happens.
That is why you fail.
All right, let's drag a line from the midpoint of the straight line upward. Escape. Now let's grab this, press move. Now let's grab the middle here and drag it here. Okay, so I think now we got it. Let's grab the model. I think we have an equal distribution of the pipe on both ends. Subtract, select object, enter, select the pipe. Okay, this time it worked. All right, so what we have so far is the flattened side. We have the circlip that is deeper 1 millimeter in here. We have on the underside the extruded pill shape that extends 15 millimeter up. All right, so for the last part of the drawing, we're going to do the spark plug recess. What we can do is first grab the whole model, then type in move. Let's grab it like this, and then we're going to drag it over. So holding down middle mouse button, I can kind of crawl my way here, and then I'm just going to drop it at that intersection. Now what happens if I look like this? Okay, so we've dragged it over to the top view. Now we're going to drop it down. We know that the height, the full height of the piston is 30, so we're going to move it down by 30 millimeter. So type in move, displace, DISP, and then you type in 0, 0, 30 minus 30. Right, so now it's where we want it. Assuming that this is a copy of your blueprint, what you can do now is select the red circle here, which is 10 diameter, and we're going to extrude it downward. And we know that its depth is 2 millimeter. So we're gonna drag the cursor downward and type in 2. Now we have a solid cylinder and the piston. All we are left to do is type in subtract, select the overall piston, then highlight the cylinder of the spark plug recess, enter, enter. And now we have made the piston. Beautiful. So let's bring it back up to above ground. Move the ISP for displacement 0,0,30 plus positive. Now it's back above ground. Let's drag it somewhere over here and then somewhere over there. Here it is, a new instance of it. What we're going to do now is perform rotations to it and onto the view cube in order to create the isometric view to use in the layout. Okay, so I seem to be having some conflicts of viewports. So I'm going to see if I can create a custom viewport outline or shape so that the two viewports are not going to be in layer conflict. So I'm going to deselect both layers. This one is correctly set up, but this one is the original, and I'm going to recreate this viewport. So I'm going to go up first, ensure that you are in drafting and annotation, then go up to layout. On the top there's a ribbon. If you select it, you can insert a new viewport, and instead of going for the rectangular viewport, we're going to try a polygonal one. So here we go. I'm going to specify a start point. I'm going to go down. I'm going to go to the right. I'm going to go here. I'm going to go there. I'm going to go like this and like that and like this. Essentially, I'm just going to make the shape, right? And then I type in close, C for close. Okay, so now we have a viewport that is polygonal and not a rectangle. And that is pretty cool, because now we can create it in a way that allows the other one to not be in conflict. Now let's move the polygonal one out of the way for a second. Let's match the properties of the original onto the new one. Enter. Cool. Now that we have pasted the properties, we can delete the original viewport. We're left with this one. Now we can move this one back in place. Click move and bring it back up. Okay, as you can see now, we are not experiencing conflicts in between the two viewports. I'm going to perform a pan. So pan, and then ensure that everything fits over here. Okay, so it's pretty good. So now we have optimized the layout, and with that we have concluded work on SV Piston. That's it. See you later, guys.